Hello and welcome to the lecture. So let's do the insert operation now. Okay, and we'll copy paste the display records and we'll open this. Okay, and we will start from here, right? So we have our select statement, so we'll change it to insert statement now. Okay, to get the insert statement query, you can go back to insert here or go to SQL here, right, and click on insert. So this is your query, right? And definitely we don't need auto increment, so we delete this off. And the values, we have like two values, we'll say 4 and windy. All right, so this is our insert query. I've inserted here, and this one actually have static text, right? Instead of that, I want to pass the value. For that, I want to pass a reference, like say ID and name, right? So I've passed a reference. Let's make it big screen. Okay, I've passed a reference. So what we can do is now we can pass that value. Okay, how do you bind that value? So I'm just going to show you how to bind it. We have something called as bind value. Okay, and you have to tell to which field you're binding. So in this, we are binding to this. Okay, and then you have to say what type of, and then you have to say value first. So ID will be like 4. Then you have to say what type of value it is. It is PDO param of type integers. Okay, and similarly the name will be string, name will be Wendy, and we'll say str. All right, so now we are binding the values. Now you can execute the query. At the query, we don't need to loop the records because it's not a select query. So at the query, you can know if it is successful or not, right? If it is true, it is successful, or else it is false. Okay, you can say records inserted successfully, or you can say records unable to insert records. Okay, you should see this statement, right? If the execution works well, then you should see records insert successfully. So all the thing that we are doing is we are binding the value here. Okay, bind value, then the field name. That field name we have put it here. You can put any name here, then the name, and then this name, right? So we are replacing this value with whatever value that you have here, right? And then we are saying what data type it is. It's integer type and it is string type. Okay, and rest of the code remains the same. There's no change in it. So let's go ahead and execute this. And before that, we remove the single quotes here because we are already having the single quotes, right? We are already inside the quotes. Then we say ID and name without the quotes, and ID and name here. Okay, so let's execute this. We can go to the command prompt and execute as well. Okay, so if I say index.php, I should see the records has been inserted, this command, right? So it's a record insert successfully. If I go refresh, I should see Wendy here. All right, so the record has been inserted. So if you want to try again, you can try again, and you can browse again. There's 2 Wendy has been inserted. Okay, very simple and straightforward code. The only thing that you have to learn is how to bind the values and how to write the insert statements. So when you write the insert statement, you'll mention which field and which value. You're not going to hard code it here. You can hard code it, but if you want directly like in binding a value in the runtime, then you can mention the field names here, right? Colon and the field names. And then you can say when you find this, replace it with this value. You find this, replace with this value. And this is of type integer, this is of type string. Now you execute the value. So it binds into this query and execute that query. Okay, and then you get to insert the record in the MySQL. Okay, so that's all for this inserting records, and I'll see you in the next one.